Hello and welcome to Flying Bobbins Tutorials. I'm Liz and today I'm going to be showing you how to make the Lotta dress by Tilly and the Buttons. Now I'm going to be using a kit from flyingbobbins.com to make my dress, and I'm going to choose the woven version, so I'm going to be using a woven crepe fabric. The good thing about this pattern is that you can also make it in a knit, so in a jersey fabric as well. So it's a really versatile pattern. You've got quite a few choices. You can go for long or short sleeves. You can go for with or without the patch pockets at the front. And you can also choose whether to go for knee length or midi length. So by combining all those different styling features, plus the fact that you can make it in woven or jersey, it is a really great pattern. It's easy to make as well. This is suitable for beginners. So, if you're just starting out on your dressmaking journey, this is a great pattern for you. So I'm going to talk you through every single stage, right from cutting out the fabric through to each step of the make. I hope you enjoy joining me on this sew along video today, and I really can't wait to finish my dress and have a lovely new dress to wear on this lovely spring day. So here's my sewing kit, and this has got everything I need to make the Lotta dress. So let's open it up and see what's inside. It's such a beautifully sunny day today. The sun is streaming in through my window, so hopefully you can see everything okay. In my kit, I have got my piece of interfacing. It's a 20cm piece of, now how do you say this? Fleiss line, used to be called Vilene. And this is the super soft one, so it's a nice soft interfacing for this project. And you only need the interfacing for the woven version of this dress. I've got my Tilly and the Buttons sewing pattern. I've got my piece of bubble crepe fabric, and I'm going to be using Lady McElroy Tea Party bubble crepe in tea rose colour. It's lovely and drapey. I've got a matching moon thread there in the rose pink, and then I've got a metre of elastic, just over a metre of elastic, and I've got a safety pin there to help pull my elastic through. So that's everything that you get in your kit, which is everything that you need to make this dress. If you're making the jersey one, then it's exactly the same in the kit, but you won't get the interfacing. Now, as well as the contents of the kit, you're going to need your fabric scissors, some dressmaking pins or wonder clips if you prefer, your tape measure, a fabric pen or a chalk marking pen, some snips, and just in case, always good to have your unpicker to hand as well. You'll need to set up your sewing machine, and if you've got one, your overlocker as well, but don't worry if you don't need an overlocker to make this dress. And also I'd suggest having your ironing board ready as well, because you're going to be pressing those seams in between each stage. Now the first thing to do is to take your fabric and wash it. It's always a good idea to pre-wash your fabric, so I would suggest doing that now. Wash it as per the instructions, and then hang it up to dry, and then once that's dried, then you can start to cut out, and that's the next stage that we're going to do. So let's take a look at the pattern. Now with Tilly and the Buttons patterns, you get a beautiful colour booklet explaining each stage with nice clear photographs. And then you get your dressmaking pattern itself, which is 2 sheets, which you need to unfold to get all of your pieces. Now you'll notice, if we unfold this one here, that each piece has a series of lines around the edge, and those lines correspond to the size of the dress that you're going to make. So the first thing to do, sorry about the banging in the background, I think someone's having a fence put up. It's always the way when I start one of these videos. So the first thing that you need to do, where are we, where's this page that we need, is to decide which size you're going to make. and that's handy there on about the 3rd page in, and it says find your pattern size. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure your bust at the fullest point, your waist at the smallest point, and then your hips at the fullest point. And then what I always do is I take those measurements and write them down somewhere up here, and you can then tell by looking at the table which of the sizes you want to make. And this dress goes from a size, what Tilly and Buttons call a 1, which is a UK size 6, up to a size 10, which is a UK size 24. Now, if you kind of are in between sizes, then if you're very close, just go up rather than down, because it's much easier to take in. Having said that, this is quite a loose fitting, you know, it's not got anything that's very close to the body, but it's always best to go up, and then you can take in a little bit. The other thing that you can do is if you're in between sizes, you can, so this is the, let's show you on the bodice here. So let's say we've got these lines here going from a 1 up to a 10. And let's say that at the waist I'm a 5, but high, you know, at the shoulder I'm a 4. What you can do is you can just draw a line going from 5 at the waist up to 4 at that notch there. Just curve it round a little bit. And make sure that whatever you do on the front, you do exactly the same on the back so that they match up. And that way you can get the most out of this multi-sized pattern. Hi, Puss Puss. The cat has found the sunshine. But yeah, this is a really beginner's project. It's very easy fitting. So I don't think you really have to worry too much about altering the pattern or doing anything like that. Just if you find out which size you're closest to, write down your bust, waist and hip measurements there, and then you can see which size you want to go for. So once you know which size, and I've made quite a lot of Tilly and the Buttons before, I know I'm a 3. So once I've done that, then I can just cut along the 3, which is this solid unbroken line, and I'm going to go round and cut the paper pattern out around line number 3 for each of the pieces. If you need a bit of extra help, we've also got a finished garment measurement table here, just so that you can see how the garment comes up when it's made. And from that you can kind of think, well, okay, I'm not quite sure, I'm in between sizes, let's have a look at the finished garment measurement. Well, I know that size 5 has a waist of 100, you know, 0.5 centimetres, obviously that's going to be drawn in by the elastic, but you can then sort of think, okay, yeah, that seems about right. So like I said, it's a very easy fit on this one. So the first stage I'm going to do is to cut out the pieces of my pattern from the paper. Now, if you find this a bit confusing with all these different dotted lines, one tip I have is that you can grab a highlighter pen before you start cutting, and then you can just highlight the line that corresponds to your dress size, and cut around that. So you're kind of highlighting first, getting your head round it, and then cutting. There are some places, like for example the neckline here, where the lines cross over. Can you see here? So just pay attention when you come to anything there that you're keeping on the correct line for your size all the way through. You know, in some cases it's very easy, like at the waist point here. At other cases it is a bit more close together or crossed over. So you need to just go ahead and cut those pattern pieces out. Something else I've just noticed here, so sometimes you get this on paper pattern pieces where they just can't fit everything onto the sheet. So what they tend to do is they'll have this triangle here which says join to skirt part 1. So what you do there is they've printed that one pattern piece across 2 sheets of paper. So we're just going to need to stick those together. I'll show you on the other piece. You get 2 pieces of pattern paper with this, and I like the, whoops, just torn mine. I like the Tilly and the Buttons one because it's on this nice paper which is a bit more easy to deal with than the tissue that you get. There we go. So let's have a look. So there we go. Can you see that triangle up there? Joins to skirt join there. So you just have to match those up to create that pattern piece there once you've cut out. So I'd say cut everything out to begin with, and then wherever you see those triangles you just need to stick them together to make one big piece. Obviously the skirt panel is a really big panel, and it's quite a full skirt, and that's why they couldn't quite get it on one piece of paper. So I've cut out all of the parts of my pattern, and as you can see I've just cut on the number 3 line there for all of them. I'll talk you through them all now. So first of all, there's my skirt, which is cut in 2 parts because it's cut across two pieces of paper. So I was just going to show you how that looks. So you're going to have a piece that looks like that with the triangle there, and then a piece that looks like this, and you just need to overlap them so that those 2 triangles need to make a diamond. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay. And I should just use some masking tape and stick that together. Just start on the front of the pattern because I can see everything nice and clearly. I can see those triangles are lining up nicely, and that line is lining up nicely there. I've got one more piece of tape in the middle, and then I'll turn it over now that I know it's lined up, and I'll put tape across the whole back piece just to secure it nicely. So it's secured all the way along. There we go. So that's my skirt pattern piece, and what you'll notice is that the skirt pattern piece is the same for the back and the front of the skirt, and it's cut on fold. So you place this on the fold here, this line, and then you cut it out and you open it up to form one big panel. You've got 2 skirt lengths to choose from. This line here says cut or trace off here for the knee length version, so you'll cut along this line here for the knee length version. If you're making the midi length version as I am, you're going to cut there. Okay, now if you want to make the skirt longer or shorter, maybe you're particularly tall or petite, or you just have a preferred length, you've got these lines here that say lengthen or shorten here. And the reason why we do that rather than taking it up or down at the hem is we want to maintain the hem shape there that's been created for the pattern. So to lengthen or shorten, we just cut or fold along here, and then we squeeze together or we separate apart. So to make it longer, we separate apart and put a piece of paper in between, and then join those lines up at the side. And conversely, to shorten, we just cut there, we overlap them, so put this on top of this, so you've still got your pocket marking positions, which are all on the top bit, and you can sandwich that over the top of that to create a shorter skirt. Now somebody was asking me as well, how do I make the skirt less full, because this is quite a full skirt. So if you wanted to make this skirt less full, my suggestion, because we've got to look at how this pattern piece is just to take a godé or a pleat out of the pattern. So what you would do is you'd fold the pattern here, it doesn't really matter where, and then you can just pleat some of that fullness out of the skirt. So does that make sense? I've just basically folded the pattern like that. So that's now a less full skirt. Just put some tape there to hold that, and then you would need to smooth off that hem curve. Just where you've made that fold, you've got a funny bit there that you just need to smooth off. And that's how you'd make the skirt less full. If you wanted to take fullness out of something, don't just simply lob a chunk off the side seam or a chunk off the fold there, because you're going to change the drape of the skirt. You're going to change, it's just going to not look quite right. It's hard to explain why, but it just will change the drape. You're better off taking an actual pleat out of there, and the size of that depends on how much you want to slim the skirt by, and just beware that you don't take so much out that you're going to make it too tight round your hips. So it's a bit more technical, that alteration, but somebody did ask me, so I said I'd cover that in this video. What you want to be sure that you're doing is you're not changing this measurement here, which is why we take that triangular shape, so you're taking out absolutely nothing there up to taking out the desired amount at the hem. And you know, I've taken out quite a large chunk there just to illustrate. You might only want to take out a small bit. The other thing you can do is cut from here up to here and then pivot. Don't cut all the way up, leave that bit intact, and then pivot that over that and stick it down. So if you're going to start doing more kind of complicated alterations like that, then the other thing you might want to consider is getting some pattern cutting paper and just tracing that so that you keep the original intact. So the other consideration as well is you're going to mess around with the pocket placement. So if you are changing the skirt shape, you just have to reconsider the placement of the pocket if you also want to do a pocket. So I hope that makes sense. I'm obviously going to go with the pattern as it is, keeping it simple, but there you go. Hopefully that's given you a few extra pointers and ideas there. And I always try to answer any questions that anybody has. So that's my skirt pattern piece. Then I've got my back bodice, and this one again, you're cutting it on the fold, so that will open up to create an entire bodice. You'll notice there aren't any bust darts, the fullness is just in the shape itself, it's quite blousoned, and that's also why it makes it suitable for either jersey or woven. And again, you've got a lengthen or shorten hairline, so if you know that you've got a particularly petite or tall torso, you can cut in between that line and then either fold that up or place it up and stick it, or stretch it out and put some paper in the middle. And what that does is it makes sure that we maintain that waist seam shape that it needs to be. Then I've got my back bodice facing, so that shape matches to that, and that's going to sit there to create a nice shape around your neckline. If you're doing the jersey version, you're not going to cut the facing. If you're doing the jersey version, you have instead got this pattern piece here. So this is for the jersey fabrics, and this is for the woven fabrics. I'm doing woven. Now I am going to do a jersey one as well, and the jersey one I'll do with a sleeve, and I'll do it knee length. So over the videos that I'll do, I'll cover everything. My jersey fabric hasn't arrived yet. I can't wait. I've got a nice big delivery of jersey fabrics coming. Okay, so here is the bodice front. Again, it's cut on the fold, and again you've got your neckline facing that matches up there, and that sits there. If you're going to do the sleeve, you've also got the sleeve pattern. It looks rather unusual for a sleeve pattern because it's placed on the fold. Again, it's quite a loose fitting sleeve. And then last but not least, you've got your pocket pattern. Again, it's optional whether you do those. I'm going to do a pocket on my one, so I'm going to use this pattern piece as well. So those are all the pattern pieces. So you've got your bodice back and front, your bodice facing back and front, or your neckband if you're doing jersey. You've got your optional pocket, your optional sleeve, and your skirt.